And hello, YouTubers. Good evening. That's the YouTube feed up and running, I think. Hope you're all keeping well. And it being 12 seconds to 8 o'clock, I better get started on Facebook as well. Good evening, Fáilte, tá céad mille fáilte. Now, Dini Golair, 100,000 welcomes to everyone to Live Irish Myths. I'm Anthony Murphy from Mythical Ireland. This is Achtra Trecha a Ceathair, episode 34 of Mythflix or Live Irish Myths. You're all very welcome to Teach Mhorchu, to the Murphy household. Let's imagine for an hour or so that we're sitting in a lovely cottage out in Connemara. We're gathered around a roaring fire. There's a big pot of tea on the brew and a nice big brown pan of bread or whatever you're having yourself, and maybe a dram of something stronger than tea. And for the next hour, let's indulge ourselves in more Irish myths and legends. We are continuing tonight with the theme of place name myths and legends. We started last night, and isn't there so much to talk about? I mean, in terms of place names, there is literally, I would say, a dozen episodes easily in the material that's there, including the Dunchanicus. So I'm looking forward to exploring more and more and more place names, because a lot of Irish town names and townland and village names are indeed very ancient, going back to early medieval times and perhaps even earlier in some cases, undoubtedly prehistoric times. And so I'm looking forward to having you along for that and many other mythical discussions which we'll have in the meantime. We're on episode 34, and the well is not running dry by any means. We have only just started our great exploration of the wonderful and comprehensive and never-ending corpus of Irish myths and legends. Just to quickly say that the subject of place names was originally suggested by Catherine Wall McManus and Brendan Kinch. Thank you very much for your suggestion. And of course, it is my great pleasure to delve into place name folklore and mythology, given that it's such a huge aspect of my written work. I also have to say thanks to Karina Chen, whose image of the signpost with all the different signs in Irish and English I downloaded from Pixabay today, not having something along similar lines myself, not with so many place names on it. So thank you to Karina Chen. Thanks as always to Mythical Ireland patrons over at patreon.com/Mythical Ireland, patreon.com/Mythical Ireland, whose support helps to make all of this happen. And before we kick off tonight, as usual, I will give a big fáilte and sláinte to all our friends who are joining us on both YouTube and Facebook. And starting with YouTube, Centurion2501 says, good evening all. I don't think that's their real name, but good evening to you. Xandru Reguera is in Argentina. Hello and good evening. Tranonawa Xandru. McHugh J says, hi from Howth. Beautiful day. Indeed it was. All the way from Ben Ether to Glannabonia, Droichedaha. Thank you for joining us. William King is in Arkansas. Hello again, William. Lovely to have you back. Hemp and Asphalt says, hello, everybody from sunny Pasadena in California. We had a beautifully, powerfully warm, bright, sunny day today. Myself and my son Finn went for a long walk at lunchtime over to Millmount. And it is such a gorgeous day here. And the sun is just going to be setting there shortly. Judith Nylan, my friend in Washington State. Sound not working for me. Okay. I'm not sure if that's... perhaps if there are any YouTubers who are encountering problems with sound, you might let me know. Otherwise, it might be just your end, Judith. You might need to plug in headphones or adjust the speaker volume or something. Heard a shot says, good evening, Anthony. Tom King here from Bohermeen, meaning of which smooth road. Bohermeen, one of 5 roads that lead to the Hill of Tara. My small contribution for tonight. Many thanks. Well, thank you, Tom. A little known fact is that we bought Coda in Bohermeen. So there you go. Coda is our dog. Sounds okay, says Andrew. Yeah, Judith, I hope that's an issue on your end. So maybe some adjustments required. Hopefully you get it sorted. Alex Casterton on Facebook says, hi, hello, Anthony, we're here. Alex, you're the first of the commenters tonight. Richard O'Neill, evening, Anthony. And Tranonawa Arishard, lovely to see you. Marcia Downs, good day, Anthony, and a good day to you also, Marcia. Michael Naylor, Mike and Jeanette in Princeton, New Jersey are watching. Good afternoon. A very good evening to you, Michael. You're welcome along. Macy Damon says, good evening. Tranonawa. Eva Anderson, hello from Gothenburg in Sweden. Hello, Eva. Aaron Durrett, howdy, Mythflix Tua. Thanks for the sublime escape, Anthony. The Pacific Northwest is absolutely gorgeous today. We are sharing something in common today, Aaron, because we also have a gorgeous day here. So thank you for that. Catherine Wall McManus. Hi, Anthony and Tua. Thank you for the suggestion for the episode theme, Catherine. Yvette Tillema is saying, hello, Anthony and Tua from Keen Alpine Adventures, New York. Hello, Yvette, and a very good evening to you. Barb Jordan says, good evening. Trnonawa Tosafane, Barb. Barbara King says, hello again from Vermont. Lovely to have you watching this evening, Barbara. Mariana Dunn, hello to the Mythflix Tua from Virginia. And of course, that's Virginia in the States, not Virginia in County Cavan. Pull up a stool, Mariana. Grab yourself a dram. Sit down. Christine Bob Belt, hello from Las Vegas. Great to see you, Christine. Mandy McCurl, hello from another sunny evening on the Isle of Mull. Fantastic stuff. Lovely to hear it. It lifts the spirits a little bit, you know, during this current situation to get some nice weather. Kerem Gogus is watching. Hello, my good friend Kerem. You're welcome along. Nick Eska Casterton says, good evening, Anthony, and hi, everyone. And good evening to you, Nick. Alan Bryett, good evening, Anthony. Good to listen while at work tonight. Going to listen while at work. Representing Rhode Island again. Lovely to have you along, Alan. And great. You concentrate on the work. Get the work right. And don't worry. But lovely to have you there. Judy McQueen says, hello from Oregon. Hello, Judy. Gillian Gogarty is watching. I have to tell you that Gillian is our most local viewer because she lives in the same estate as me, probably about 100 meters in that direction. Hello, Gillian. Lovely to have you along. Maeve Fiona Callahan says, hello from Portland. Lovely to have you on board, Maeve. That's Portland, Oregon, rather than Portland, Maine, isn't it? Pat Rowan is watching from Port Townsend in close to Seattle in Washington State. Pat, it's great to see you and to have you along. Welcome. Rowan Grove says hello from Colorado. Weather is much better today, and that seems to be a theme all across the board. We're all getting good weather. Let's keep the fingers crossed that it continues. Desiree Riley, hello, Anthony and Tua. I ordered my Mythical Ireland book today, Anthony. Can't wait to get it. I can confirm, Desiree, I have received your order and will inscribe it personally to you and post it to you tomorrow. Laura Odomitroy is saying hello, looking forward to your mythical stories. Trnonawa, Laura, and lovely to have you along again from, it's Blessington, isn't it, in County Wicklow. Freya Sjöholm is saying, good evening, Anthony, and all. Banachti from Sweden. Banachti. Doris O'Hara says, hello from Heidelberg in Germany. And is that the place made famous for the printing press? Doris, should I say, Doris, very good evening to you. Pat Rowan says, hello, everyone from the Olympic Peninsula, Western Washington State. Great to see you, Pat. Karen Goga says, hello, friends, and hello, Anthony. Hello to you also. Michelle Kopeski is in Minnesota. Looking forward to hearing more about place names. Liga Pavila is in Latvia. Hello again, Liga. Lovely to see you. David Gilroy is watching. Good evening, Dahi. Konastatu Apoi in Kundanami. You're very welcome along. And David Gilroy Page is also watching. So you're watching from two accounts. Nice. Get my figures up. Lampiris Noctiluca says hello from Georgia. Hello to you, Lampiris. I don't know how to pronounce that, but please forgive me if it's wrong. Connie Keeler is in Ontario in Canada. Trnonawa, Connie, how are you? Kelly Sewell is in Vermont. Partly sunny. That's good enough. We'll take that. It's not raining and it's not snowing. That's the main thing. Maureen Lynch is giving the thumbs up. Good evening, Maureen. Dave Russell. I have a dram in one hand and a drill in the other. Hi, everyone from Derry. I think you should put the drill down if you have a dram in the other. Good evening, Dahi. Conas Tatu. Pamela Walters says, good evening from the Netherlands, where it was very sunny, but also cold today. I hope to visit Ireland someday. We will be very glad to have you, Pamela. Barbara Barney says, hi, Anthony. Hello, Barbara. Trnonawa Aaron Durrett, put the drill down for a bit. Never mind. Maeve Finnacallan, whiskey and power tools. What could go wrong, Dave? Maggie Thiel says, hello from Florida, USA. Good evening, Maggie. You're very welcome. Steve Martinson is in Madison in Wisconsin. Ikawa, Steve. You're very welcome. Snapper Earl says, what's up, Anthony? I don't know what the Irish for what's up is, but how are you? Keith Johnson says, Nashota in Wisconsin in the States as well. Hello, Keith. Yvette, I apologize for the advertised post, but it was an autocorrect for a business in my town. I'm not associated with it. Don't worry about it. Happens to the best of us. Didn't I transmit the live stream on the wrong page yesterday? So it happens to the best of us. Regina Sassman says, Hallochen aus Bayern. You're very welcome along this evening, Regina. Lovely to see you. And that's enough of that. Lovely day all over the world. Yes, indeed, says Hempen Asphalt. Erica Rivertree, Banachty Louisville, Kentucky. Steeping a cup of Barry's Gold and tucking in for today's Mythflix. Great to have you along, Erica. Tranonowa. Woohoo. A loud shout out. Many thanks to you, says Centurion 2501. Would you care to say about the prefix kill or killy in the names of places? Yes, we will definitely get to the place name Kill, which is interesting. Church or wood. Maybe not in this episode, but definitely we will get there. And Connor Pockle says, GAE of Tua Mythflix. Beautiful day out here in Galway, in Galway too. Got plenty of gardening done. Fantastic stuff. Lovely to have you along, Connor. Okay. So, without further ado, 11 minutes, that's not bad. We are going to continue with myths and legends associated with place names. I am reading, again, just to remind you, I know some people will ask, I am reading from the wonderful The Origin and History of Irish Names of Places by P.W. Joyce. I'm reading tonight from Volume 1. Although there will also be a little bit of reading later in the episode from Volume 3. The dates weren't always easy to find out as to when they were published, weren't they not? Yeah, 1869 was Volume 1. He dates them at the end of the prologue or the preface. And Volume 3, hopefully he has dated this as well, is 1913. So there was quite a distance in time between them. Judith Nyland is now watching on Facebook. Hopefully you've got your sound sorted out, Judith, but it's lovely to have you along. Deborah Alland says hello from Sussex, Wisconsin. Hello, Deborah. Tina Butler Barker is in Central Florida. Hi, Tina. Thomas Keane, hi from Pennsylvania, originally from Tipperary. Hello, Thomas. Lovely to have you on board for the Scailta. And I will get started with a continuation from where we left off yesterday. Many other legendary exploits of the heroic times are commemorated in local names, as well as casts of a spear. A favourite mode of exhibiting physical activity among the ancients, as well as the moderns, was by a leap. But if we are to believe in the prodigious bounds ascribed by legend to some of our forefathers, the members of our athletic clubs may well despair of competing with them. The word lame, L-E-I-M, a leap, will be discussed hereafter, but I may remark here that it is generally applied to these leaps of the ancient heroes. The legend that gave the name to Loop Head in Clare is still well remembered by the people. Cuchulainn, the chief of the Red Branch Knights of Ulster, of whom we've had several episodes already, or about whom we've had, endeavouring once to escape from a woman named Mal, M-A-L, by whom he was pursued, made his way southwards to the extremity of the county of Clare, where he unhappily found himself in a cul-de-sac with the furious Termagant just behind him. There is a little rock called Bullan na Lema, which basically means leap rock, rising over the waves, about 25 feet beyond the cape, on which the chief alighted with a great bound from the mainland. And the woman, nothing daunted by the raging chasm, sprang after him, when, exerting all his strength, he leaped back again to the mainland, a much more difficult feat than the first, and his pursuer, attempting to follow him, fell short into the boiling sea. And Katrina has joined us. Hello, Katrina. Tranonawa, Shugwich, and welcome aboard. Lame Jump, yes. Hence, the cape was called Lame Choncullen, Cuchullen's Leap. And Cuchullen, which means the Hound of Cullen, is also sometimes called Con Cullen, and Con, again, being another word for hound. Henry Paddy Shearman is watching. Hello, Henry. You're very welcome along. A salmon leap, yes, we'll get to that. We will get to that, of course, no problem. Theresa McGalloway says, storms tore through the southeast this Easter. Pond is full in Callahan, Florida. Lovely to have you along, Theresa. Hence, the cape was called Leam Choncullen, Cuchullen's Leap, which is the name always used by ancient Irish writers, as for instance, by the Four Masters. Afterwards, it was more commonly called, as it is at the present day in Irish, Cean Leama, or in the anglicised version, Cean Leama, Canleama, the head of the leap or leap head, which seems to have been modified into the present name Loophead by the Danes of the Lower Shannon. Danish Hlaup, Hlaup, a leap. The woman's body was swept northwards by the tide and was found at the southern point of the cliffs of Moher. The famous cliffs of Moher, and many of you who visited Ireland, and indeed all you Irish people, no doubt, have visited the cliffs of Moher at some stage, which was therefore called Cean Caille, or Can Cali, or a hag's head. Moreover, the sea all along was dyed with her blood, and it was called Tun Mal, or Mal's Wave, but it is now known by the name of Mal Bay. Cean Leama is also the Irish name of Slinehead in Galway, but I do not know the legend, if there be one. There are several places whose names contain this word lame in such a way as to render it probable that they are connected with legends. Such, for example, is Lamerlea, Leamorlea, in the parish of Kilmacedder, Kerry. Lame Ir Lay, Leimfhirleith, the leap of the grey man. Leamy Doody and Leamy Glisten in Kerry, and Leamy Brine in Waterford, which mean, respectively, O'Dowd's, O'Gleeson's, and O'Brien's Leap. Carrigleam Leary, near Mallow, which is called in the Book of Lismore Carrig Lema Leguri, the rock of Leira's or Leary's Leap. Leap Castle in King's County, near Roscrea, the ruins of which are still to be seen, is called by the Four Masters Leim Ivanan. That's Leimbhanan, Leim Ivanan, or anglicised to Leim Ivanan, which means O'Bannon's Leap. Katrina is saying Cian is a headland too, anglicised as Kin, as in Kinvara. The Brythonic group of languages is Pen, as in Penzance. Thanks for that, Katrina. Goramagat. The name of Loch Jarrag on the Shannon reminds us of the almost unlimited Loch Derg, you might call it in English. Reminds us of the almost unlimited influence of the bards in old times, of the merciless way in which they often exercised it, and the mingled feelings of dread and reverence with which they were regarded by all, both nobles and people. This great and long-continued power, which some of the Irish monarchs found it necessary to check by severe legislation, is an undoubted historic fact, and the legend transmits a very vivid picture of it, whether the circumstance it records happened or not. It is one of the incidents in an ancient tale called Townland, or the Siege of Howth. And we were saying, weren't we, was it yesterday, we were saying the old name of Howth is Ben Edair, Bennedair, or Ben Etar, Etair. Julianne Osborne is watching. Hello, Julianne, great to see you again. Tranonawa. Deborah Alland, I visited Malbay and Spanish Point. Great to hear of those places again. Loved it. Brilliant stuff. And thank you. Katrina, I'm indebted to you for your constant assistance with the Irish. You are an absolute star. You might tell me how to say that in Irish. It's railth. It's railthu. I don't know how to say absolute, but it's railth more who. Ahirne Aithirne, anglicised Ahirny, Ahirny, a celebrated Ulster poet of the time of Conor MacNessa or Crohor, who we've heard mentioned in numerous episodes. He's the guy who was mourning the death of Christ by hacking at some trees, and the brain ball fell out of his head and he dropped dead. Crohor MacNessa once undertook a journey through Ireland, and of every king through whose territories he passed, he made the most unreasonable and outrageous request he could think of, none of whom dared refuse him. Jochi MacLuchta was at that time king of South Connacht and Thomond, and had but one eye, which is interesting because didn't we say in other episodes that you should not, or you could not rule as a king when you had a blemish? The malicious poet, when leaving his kingdom, asked him for his eye, which the king at once plucked out and gave him. And then, desiring his attendant to lead him down to the lake, on the shore of which he had his residence, he stooped down and washed the blood from his face. The attendant remarked to him that the lake was red with his blood, and the king thereupon said, "Then look, Jeragurk, anglicised to..." Okay, the Irish is Loch. I'll try and help you with these spelling. Deorgdherc, which is anglicised to Jeragurk, Deorgherk, shall be its name forever, and so the name remains. The lake is called by this name, which signifies, quote, the Lake of the Red Eye, unquote, in all our old authorities, and the present name, Loch Derg, is merely a contraction of the original. Isn't that wonderful? Amach is amach. Israel amach is amach tusa freshen. Out and out, absolute, out and out star. Brilliant. Israel amach is amach tusa freshen. Thank you for that, Katrina. Wonderful to have you helping with these. Regina Reynolds is saying hi from Black Rock, County Louth. Na Cragachadua, Condanalu. You're very welcome, Regina. Lovely to have you along. Saoirse ní Cheandáil is farlum ananacha áitina a léamh agus a eáil. Véidir fóthaigeal ananacha áitina a chur suas nuair a léan tú iad. Now, I don't know what all that means. But I'm getting there. I'm getting one of these days. Peter Brady says Liam on Vadi, meaning dog's leap, is anglicised to Limavady in County Derry. Wow, thank you for that, Peter. That is a very interesting piece of information, and I'll type that into Facebook so people can see that. Actually, can I copy and paste that? If I can, make it easier. I'm going to copy and paste that into Facebook so you can see that, folks. Liam on Vadi. Wadi, Carnawadi, actually in the Cooley Mountains, is the cairn of the dog. Madra or Wadi. Now, where was I? Oh dear, I've lost my place, have I? Yes, I have lost my place. I got carried away. I got excited. In the parish of Kilgobban, that's Kilgobban in Kerry, about 8 miles west of Tralee, is situated the beautiful valley of Glanagalt, Glannagalt, and it was believed not only in Kerry, but over the whole of Ireland, wherever the glen was known, that all lunatics, no matter in what part of the country, would ultimately, if left to themselves, find their way to this glen to be cured. That's interesting. Hence the name Glan, and that's 3 words, Glannagalt. That's Gleann, which is a valley, or isn't it a Glan, the Boyne Valley? The Ngelt, the Valley of the Lunatics. There are 2 wells in the glen called Tubernagalt, the Lunatics' Well, to which the madmen direct their way, crossing the little stream that flows through the valley at a spot called Ahagaltaun, Ahagaltaun, the Madman's Ford, and passing by Clochnagalt, the standing stone of the lunatics. This is fantastic. And they drink of the healing waters and eat some of the cresses that grow on the margin. The water and the cresses and the secret virtue of the valley will restore the poor wanderers to sanity. Wow, incredible stuff. Lithium naturally in the water there, says Katrina. Wow, looking for that comment from someone else. Fuhijil or subtitles. Okay. I'm requesting that when you read the place names, put them up on the screen as subtitles. Yes, Saoirse, that's a brilliant idea. The only thing is that is going to slow me down because I'd have to do it twice. I'd have to do it here on Facebook and also on YouTube. I'll do my best to spell them out anyway, The belief that gave origin to these strange pilgrimages, whatever it may have been its source, is of great antiquity. And of course, many of the old Irish place names are of great antiquity. And who can tell in many cases, how far back they go. In the ancient Fenian tale called Fa Finthraia, or the Battle of Ventry, Finthrai, which basically means Ca is the Irish for battle, C-A-T-H, and Finthraia is two words into one, F-I-N-N, which means the white or bright, and Thra, T-R-A-G-H-A, the bright strand, or the white strand. Ventry is Fionthri, or Finthri, which means the white strand. We are told that Dara Dornmar, the monarch of the world, landed at Ventry to subjugate Éireann. And I should say that as part of the Fenian cycle of tales, I will be reciting the Battle of Ventry at a future date as part of a series of episodes. The only country yet unconquered. And Finn MacCool and his warriors marched southwards to oppose him. Then began a series of combats which lasted for a year and a day, and Éireann was successfully defended against the invaders. They may also, if I can offer a tiny spoiler, they may also have had some help from the Men of Day, otherwise known as the Tuatha De Danann. A pen camera, Paddy says. Yeah, wouldn't it? So that I could kind of show you. Yes, I know, you're right. In one of these conflicts, Gall, the son of the King of Ulster, Gall, a youth of 15 who had come to Finn's assistance, quote, having entered the battle with extreme eagerness, his excitement soon increased to absolute frenzy, and after having performed astounding deeds of valor, he fled in a state of derangement from the scene of slaughter and never stopped till he plunged into the wild seclusion of this valley. And that's from one of Eugene O'Curry's lectures. O'Curry seems to say that Gall was the first lunatic who went there and that the custom originated with him. There is another legend, well known in Donegal. Thank you, Katrina, for helping. So, folks, on Facebook, Katrina is helping by typing out the place names for me and translating them as we go. Katrina, I'm totally indebted to you. You're amazing. There is another legend, well known in Donegal, which accounts for the name of Loch Finn. That's Loughfinn, and of the River Finn, which issues from it and joins the Mourne near Lifford. The following is the substance as taken down from the peasantry by O'Donovan. And O'Donovan is the famous John O'Donovan of the Ordnance Survey, who collected a lot of place name folklore from the peasantry in the first half of the 19th century, the early 1830s, I think it was. But there is another and somewhat different version in, quote, the Donegal Highlands, unquote. Finn MacCool once made a great feast in the Finn Valley and sent two of his heroes, Gall and Fergoman, to bring him a fierce bull that grazed on the borders of the lake. On their way, they fell in with a litter of young pigs, which they killed and left there, intending to call for them on their way back and bring them for the feast. But Finn, who had foreknowledge of some impending evil, ascended a hill and with a mighty voice called to the heroes to return by a different route. They returned each with his half of the bull. Gall obeyed Finn's injunction, but Fergoman, disregarding it, approached the spot where he had left the litter and saw an enormous wild sow, the mother of the brood, standing over their bodies. She immediately rushed on him to revenge their death, and a furious fight began, the sow using her tusks, the warrior his spear. And so here we have the pigs in mythology. Didn't we cover some of the animals and creatures the other night? Something, by the way, that we must return to sooner rather than later. Just for those of you who are watching, especially those of you who are new to the series and maybe haven't been here before, I'm just going to paste a link to the Mythical Ireland blog where you can see all the previous episodes in one place, all 33 of them, and also on YouTube. I'll paste that in there now. And we covered an introduction to animals and creatures. Do you know what? There's so much scrolling now that I'm better off just to type in what I'm looking for. Animals and creatures in Celtic mythology. We had an introduction to that in episode 30. Fergaman had a sister named Finn, who was as warlike as himself. And after long fighting, when he was lacerated by the sow's tusks and in danger of death, he raised a great shout for his sister's help. She happened to be standing on the same side of the lake, but she heard the echo of the shout from the cliffs on the opposite side. She immediately plunged in and swam across, but as she reached the shore, the voice came from the side she had left, and when she returned, the echo came resounding again from the opposite cliffs. And so she crossed and recrossed, till the dreadful dying shouts of Fergaman so overwhelmed her with grief and terror that she sank in the middle of the lake and was drowned. Hence it was called Loch Finne, the Lake of Finn, and gave also its name to the river. The place where the heroes killed the young pigs and where Fergaman met his fate is still called Meenanall, Meenanall, in Irish, Mean on Oil, M-I for the N, A-N, A for the I-L, Meenanall, the mean or mountain flat of the litter. And the wild sow gave name to Loch Muck. And somebody asked the other night what was the Irish for pig, and it is indeed Muck. Loch Muck, the lake of the pig, lying a little south of Loch Finn. Isn't this fascinating stuff? Isn't it really, really fabulous? You know? And I bet you there's a deep cosmological meaning to a lot of these stories. Whatever may be thought of this wild legend, it is certain that the lake received its name from a woman named Finn, for it is always called in Irish Loch Finne, which bears only one interpretation, Finn or Finna's Lake. And this is quite consistent with the name given by Adamnan to the river, namely Finda. Now, where have we heard this before, folks? A lady who was drowned in the water, and it's named after her. Bo Finn, the Boyne River. Boovinda. And here we have a similar lady whose name is Finn or Find, and who drowns in the lake, and it's named after her. The suggestion sometimes put forth that the name was derived from the word fin, meaning white or clear, is altogether out of the question, according to Joyce, for the waters of both, so far from being clear, are from their source all the way down to Lifford, particularly remarkable for their inky blackness. But what Joyce may not realise, as I was just saying, is the cosmological import of the tale. And perhaps the River Finn was another variant another instance of where ancient people saw that the river, the land, the river crossing the land was merely a reflection of that which crossed through the sky. Among the many traditions handed down by the Irish people, none are more universal than that, of the bursting forth of lakes. Hang on, sorry, there are people saying hello that I must welcome along. Patricia Lochran McTague says, hello everyone from Lochran. Hello, Patricia, you're very welcome. Is that why muck is called dirt? That's a good question, Henry. Somebody else said hello. Oh yes, Sai B said hi from near Loch Gur. Hello, Sai, you're very, very welcome along this evening. Tranonoa. Okay, I think that's us up to date. Anybody on YouTube? So, Kujam Razalgeti. Isn't that the name of a star, Razalgeti? Lunatics was a derogatory term only later applied. They had a fury and force that was impenetrable. They were frightening adversaries. Naked, painted, screaming lunatics was a praise, and I'm sure it was. I'm not quite understanding Paul from the Hill of Tara. When I was going for operation for my ankle, where they bring you for surgery, their fine mural on New Wing in Drogheda Hospital, Boyne. Yeah, what's on the mural? Is it like the other one up on Barrack Lane with lovely scenes of the goddess Boyne and Newgrange and the standing stones and all that? So we're talking about now the bursting forth of lakes. Hope I'm all caught up. And Katrina is doing her brilliant job of showing us Mythology. I can pronounce it. Oh, thank God for that. Almost every considerable lake in Ireland has its own story of an enchanted well. Well, which by the fatal neglect of some fairy injunction, or on account of an affront offered to its guardian spirit, suddenly overflowed the valley and overwhelmed the inhabitants with their cattle and their houses in one common ruin. And of course, we see a very similar thematic aspect with Bowen and the Well of Segish, or Nectan's Well. Nor is this tradition of recent origin, for we find lake eruptions recorded in our most ancient annals, and nearly all the principal lakes in Ireland are accounted for in this manner. There is one very remarkable example of an occurrence of this kind, an undoubted fact, in comparatively recent times, namely in the year 1490, at which year the Four Masters record, quote, there was a great earthquake, Mayam Talwan, an eruption of the earth, at Slieve Gow, Gamh, the Ox Mountains, by which 100 persons were destroyed. Among them was the son of Manus Crossa O'Hara. Many horses and cows were also killed by it, and much putrid fish was thrown up. And a lake in which fish is now caught sprang up in the place. Unquote. Pardon me. Excuse me for that. This lake is now dried up, but it has left its name on the townland of Moim Loch, in Irish, Maim Loch, M-A-I-D-H-M-L-O-C-H, the erupted lake in the parish of Killoran, county of Sligo. And a vivid tradition of the events still prevails in the county. See O'Donovan's Four Masters, Volume 4, page 1185. And that's something I haven't got in my library, is the Annals of the Four Masters. I hope at some point in my life to be able to afford to buy the full set. I will digress here for a moment. Looks like Anthony Murphy's not the only one who digresses. I will digress here for a moment to remark that the word mime, mom or moim, so in Irish M-A-D-H-M, anglicised to M-A-U-M or M-O-Y-M, is used in the western counties from Mayo to Kerry. Is that Mom Cross, is it? And especially in Connemara, to denote an elevated mountain pass or chasm, in which application the primary sense of breaking or bursting asunder is maintained. This is the origin of several places called Mom in these counties, some of which are well known to tourists, such as Mom Hotel, Mom Turk, the Pass of the Boers, Mom Akio, the Pass of the Mist, etc. In Mayo, we find Mom Naman, the Pass of the Women. In Kerry, Mom na Haltora, of the Altar, and in Fermanagh, Mullan Vom, the summit of the elevated pass. Fantastic stuff. Katrina, is that a link to the oh no, is it? I was going to say, is that a link to the Annals of the Four Masters? I think they are actually all online. Aaron Durrett says, I didn't know Ireland had earthquakes. Are they common? No, very uncommon. And in fact, we have what you might call tremors. I think there was one in the past 5 years, but previous to that, you'd have to go back to the 1980s. There was one early in the morning one time that some of my siblings actually woke to, but nothing that caused any deaths or serious property damage. Regina Reynolds says, God bless you. Thank you. Gia Lynn, says Katrina. Gia Lynn, bless you. Thank you for that. And I can't spread my germs to you guys, thankfully, across the internet. The origin of Loch Erne in Fermanagh, that's E-R-N-E, for those of you unfamiliar, is pretty fully stated in the Annals of the Four Masters, and it is also given in the Book of Invasions and in O'Flaherty's Ogygia. Fiacha Lavrina, Fiacha Labhruinne. Fiacha Lavrina was king of Ireland from Anno Mundi 3727 to 3751, and it is related that he gained several battles during his reign, in one of which he defeated the Ernai, a tribe of fur bullocks who dwelt on the plain now covered by the lake. Quote, after the battle was gained from them, the lake flowed over them, so that it was from them the lake is named, Loch Erne, Eirne, that is, a lake over the Ernai, unquote. Our most ancient records point to the eruption of Loch Ness as having occurred in the end of the 1st century. From the universality of the tradition, as well as its great antiquity, it seems highly probable that some great inundation actually occurred about the time mentioned. Giraldus, and we mentioned Giraldus before, Giraldus Cambrensis, Gerald of Wales, who was the propagandist of the Anglo-Normans, who evidently borrowed the story from the native writers, relates that it was formed by the overflowing of a fairy fountain, which had been accidentally left uncovered, and mentions what the people will tell you to this day, that the fishermen sometimes see the lofty and slender ecclesiasticae turres, or round towers, known in Irish as clogchach, literally a bell house, beneath its waters, a belief which Moore has embalmed in the well-known lines, on Loch Ness banks as the fisherman strays, when a clear cold eve's declining, he sees the round towers of other days in the wave beneath them shining. Fantastic. The ancient name of the territory now covered by the lake was Leavuine, or Leafony in anglicised form, grey shrubbery. So that's two words, Liath and Muine, or when they're put together, Leavuine, Liathmhuine. And it was taken possession of by a Munster chieftain named Jochi mac Mareda after he had expelled the previous inhabitants. He occupied the plain at the time of the eruption, and he and all his family were drowned, except one daughter and 2 sons. Hence the lake was called Loch Necha, Nechach, Loch Necha, Loch Ness, i.e. Jochi's Lake, which is its name in all our ancient writings, and of which the present name has preserved the sound a little shortened. The N, which now forms the first letter, does not belong to the word. It is what is sometimes called the prosthetic N, and is a mere grammatical accident. The name often occurs without it. For instance, in the Book of Leinster, it is given both ways, Loch Nehach and Loch Ehach, and we find it spelt Loch Eaugh in Camden, as well as in many of the maps of the 16th and 17th centuries. This eruption is mentioned in an ancient poem published by Dr. Todd, Irish Nennius, page 267, from the Book of Leinster. And from this, it also appears that Linvuine, or Linwinnie, the Lin, Linn, or Lake of the Shrubbery, in allusion to the old name of the territory, was another name for the lake. Jochi Mareda, the rebellious son of wonderful adventure, who was overwhelmed in lucid Linvuine, with the clear lake over him. And that's from the poem from Dr. Todd. I wonder, is that Dinshenicus? I must check that. Jochi's daughter, Liban, is the subject of an exceedingly wild legend, for which see Joyce's Old Celtic Romances, page 97. And we will probably read from that at some point. We were reading from Joyce's Old Celtic Romances already. So that is the section dealing with legends where the Irish place names are concerned from Joyce. But I did say early in the episode that I wanted to just take a brief, shall we call it, diversion into episode volume 3, And there's something interesting there that I wanted to relate to you, and that is, and I presume that these were additions into the preface or the introduction of Volume 3. Volume 3 is essentially a glossary, a place name glossary. The whole thing is basically a list of names and their translation. Well, where they are, Gulamore in Mayo, Gulavore, Great Shoulder, Goreen in Galway, Gooreen, Little Sandbank, Gora in Queen's County, same as Gara, G-A-R-A-G-H, etc. So it's basically like a dictionary of place names. But there's an introduction, and I'm assuming that what happened with Joyce was that there were a couple of things that had escaped his brilliant scholarship over the years, but which he had finally come to a decision about. One of them is the origin of the name of Navin, which is a town in County Meath, about 15 miles west of us here. So if you were to pass up along on the Boyne River from through Drogheda on your way upstream, you would pass Brunabone, you'd pass the great monuments of Newgrange and Nowth and Douth, passing round by Rossnary and Nowth, and then you would come to Slane, and after Slane, the next big town is Navin. Well, Navin is a curious one, and we'll read, and hopefully you'll find out exactly why it's a curious one. Brendan Kinch says, feck, Irish verb meaning to see, F-E-I-C, used commonly to mean woe or damn, also in for feck's sake, as a mild curse word. Yes, I think a lot of people are familiar with the Irish curse word feck, aren't they? Katrina says, on uiv, yes, on uiv, but maybe not on uiv. Let us find out. Anna Pitterina says, Tranonawa, from on Moor, nothing mythical but the large tillage plot. Well, you don't know how old that is. That's the only thing. Because remember, the Neolithic people who built the great monuments of Brunabonia, they introduced tillage farming into Ireland, or so we're told. Yes. On Uiv, the cave. Well, let's see. The name of Navin in Meath has long exercised Irish etymologists, including even O'Donovan. This greatest of all Irish topographers identified it at the time he was employed on the Ordnance Survey with, and forgive my pronunciation, Nuachonville. And I'm going to have to type that out for Katrina. Well, for the whole lot of you. This isn't exclusive to Katrina, but I'm sure you'll be interested. Nuachonbhail. Nuachonville. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It looks like new something. Hongville. Matt Byrne is watching. Hi, Matt. We're just explaining, or we're just about to explain, thanks to P.W. Joyce, the real meaning of the name of the town of Navin in County Meath. I know, Meath. Boo! Say nothing. Nuachonville, which is often mentioned by the annalists, or perhaps it would be more correct to say that he showed beyond doubt that Nuachonville stood where Navin now stands. Nuachonville signifies new habitation. Thank you. I knew. So I'm sorry, Katrina. He got there first. From Nua, new, and Congville, a habitation. Congbhail. This long name would be sounded Nuhongval in English. Nuhongval, in phonetics. Nuhongval. And elsewhere in Ireland, it has been softened down to Nohoval or Nohoval. L is often changed to N in Irish place names. And if we admit that this has taken place here, and that the middle H sound has been omitted, which it often is, as we see in Drogheda for Drogheda, and we were saying about the silent G in Drogheda, weren't we, yesterday? And Paul Gowran, whose name is spelled Gaughram, likes the fact that I've learned to pronounce his name as he would pronounce it, Gowran instead of Gochran. For Drogheda, Drumlane for Drumlahan, etc. We shall have the form Novan. And we know that in some old documents written in English, the place is called Novan, N-O-V-A-N-E. All this would go to show that Novan or Navin is a worn-down form of Nuachonville. But another very different and indeed a far more interesting origin for the name suggests itself. Wait till you hear this. I was so thrilled when I first read this. And I think I first read this when I bought these books back in the year 2006, which is 14 years ago. We are told in several of our most ancient legendary records that Heremon, son of Mil or Milesius, while still living in Spain before the Milesian expedition to Ireland, married a lady named Ova, Odhbha. Typical. I'll spell that out as well. Odhbha. For both the Facebookers and the YouTubers, Odhbha. And that is pronounced OVA, Ova. So Heremon, remember, he was to become the first king of Ireland under the Malaysians after they took it from the Tuatha Dé Danann. And I know we've mentioned it several times, but we are going to cover the Book of Invasions and the Malaysians in a later episode, or several episodes, actually. Sorry, we're getting sidetracked. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. A lady named Ova, who became the mother of 3 of his children. This is Heremon. After a time, he put her away and married Tia, Tea, from whom, in aftertime, according to the legendary etymology, Tiawar or Tara derived its name. And yet again, we will be covering the Dinchanicus of Tara in an episode. When Heremon came to Ireland, Ova followed him and her children, and soon after her arrival died of grief on account of her repudiation by her husband. And this is not something that's recorded in Laura Gawala, by the way. Her 3 children raised a mound to her memory, which was called Ova after her, Odhbha. And from this again was named the territory of Ova, which lay around Navin, and which in after ages was known as the territory of the O'Hays, O''Heas, presumably a family name. This mound we know was, and is still, near the place on which Navin now stands. And like all the sepulchral mounds, it must have contained an artificial cave in which the remains were deposited. We know that the present colloquial Irish name of Navin is An Uaimh, thank you, Katrina, which means the cave. And that's An Uaimh, the cave. This name is still remembered by the old people, and we find it also in some of our more modern Irish annals. We may fairly conclude that the cave here meant is that in which Queen Ova has rested from her sorrows for 3,000 years. And it may be suspected that Uaimh, though a natural name under the circumstances, is a corruption from Ova, as both have nearly the same sound. In fact, the modern pronunciation varies between An Uaimh and An Ova. Fascinating. Another element of difficulty is the fact that in the annals of Loch Key, the place is called An Umama, Umama, which seems to show that the old writer was as much puzzled about the name as we are, and wrote it down honestly as best he could, without attempting to twist it into an intelligible word, as many modern writers would do without hesitation. This form, umama, is probably evolved from the Old Irish ova, at least I shall regard it so. Now, from which of these 3 words, Nuachonville, Ova, or An Uaimh, is the name of Navin derived? For it is certainly derived from one or another of the 3. The first N of Navin, as representing An Uaimh, is the Irish article An contracted to N, as it usually is. And this is still remembered, even by the English-speaking people, for Navin has been, and is still often called, the Navin. Fantastic. Isn't that incredible stuff? Now remember that this is written in the first years of the 20th century. Was it 1913? Let me just refer back to the preface to see what date he signed it. Yeah, Dublin, 1913. Sorry, I've lost my place again because I keep getting excited, you see. The Navin. Even the English-speaking people called it the Navin. But this fact might apply to any one of the 3 derivations. In the case of Navin coming from Nuchonville, the first N of this Irish name was mistaken for the article, just as in the case of Oughaval, Oughaval, in Sligo, Mayo, and Queen's County, in which the initial N has been dropped by the people who mistook it for the article, the proper name being Noughaval, Noughaval, i.e. Nuchonville. And as to Ova and Uiv, the article is there to represent the article is there to the present day, annexed to both. On Mullingar, the Quare Mill, the strange mill in Westmeath, on Irvie, the presence of the last N of Navin is quite compatible with the derivation from either Ova or on Uiv, for it is the termination of an oblique form, and as a matter of fact, Uiv is often written and pronounced Uavan, Uamhainn, as in the case of the name of the village of Ovens, west of Cork City, which is really Uavan, i.e. caves, from the great limestone caves near the village. And either Novan or on Uavan would sound almost exactly the same as the Old English name Novan. The change from Nuchonville to Novan looks too violent, an interesting word, though possible, and I am disposed to believe that Queen Ova's name still lives in the name Navin. The people, having lost all tradition of Eramon's repudiated queen, and not understanding what Ova meant, mistook it for Uiv, which has nearly the same sound, and which was quite applicable, as the cave was there before their eyes. So they prefixed the article and used Uavan, as elsewhere, for Uiv, the whole Irish name, Nuavan, N-Uamhainn, pronounced Nuvan, being anglicised to Novan, which ultimately settled down to Navin. But this is by no means certain, and until we discover more decided authorities, the name will continue doubtful and tantalizing. I think that is incredibly brilliant, and I found that absolutely grippingly fascinating. One thing that should be borne in mind here, and that was not pointed out by Joyce, is that if the cave or the mound at Navin is associated with Ova, who was a wife of Eramon, this is interesting. Just bear with me here for a second. So the Malaysians landed initially at Inverscania in Kerry, but put back out to sea at the request of the Dedanans. And if they could land again, they could take Ireland, right? There was a big storm raised by the Dedanans, probably by Manannán, and the fleet was scattered. Some of the ships were broken. Some of the brothers were killed. Dunn was killed, of course, off the southwest coast. Check Din, the House of Dunn, and Culpa was killed, and of course he's buried at Cope, which is Inver Culpa, the Boyne Estuary. But that is where Amergin or Argin Glungyal landed, the spiritual figurehead, the poet of the Malaysians. He was the first one to set foot on the shore. Now, Eramon and Eber, the brothers, decided to share the rule of Ireland between them for the first year. Eramon, I believe, ruling the north half and Eber the southern half. But after a year, there was a contention between them. They fought to the death, and Eramon killed Eber and became king of all Ireland. But it was Eramon's wife, Tia, who decided where they were going to reign from, and that was Drumcain, as it was then known, which means the beautiful ridge, Drumcain in County Meath, which later became Chawer, the rampart of the wall of Tia, because she was to be buried there, and that became Tara. Now listen to this. Aurgeen, according to local tradition in Drogheda, is buried at the Millmount. For the patrons, for Mythical Ireland patrons, there's a video today that I made. I will make it available to the public in a few weeks' time, but the patrons get it first, exploring the legend of Millmount. Aurgeen is supposedly buried at Millmount. He was asked to be guarantor by Tia in relation to the choice of hill. And the choice of hill, which was Tara, is on a solstice alignment from Millmount. So from Millmount, when you're looking at Tara, where Eramon ruled and his wife was to be buried, Chawer, you're looking at winter solstice sunset. At Tara, looking in the opposite direction towards summer solstice sunrise, you're looking at Amergin's Mount, Millmount in Drogheda. So these two are connected. But further to this now is interesting, because if Navin is from Onova, Aramon's first wife, that's fascinating, because there's another Malaysian connection there with a mound that overlooks the Boyne, around which a sizable town has grown up. So you have Aurigeen's mound or Amergin's mound in Drogheda, and you have Ova's mound in Navin. And even more curious is the fact that as the crow flies, I'm going to measure it here on Google Earth actually while we're talking. As the crow flies, it is only a matter of a few miles, maybe 5-6 miles from on Ova's mound in Navin to Chawur, the rampart of Tia at Tara. So his two wives are actually buried fairly close together, one could say. I'm just going to try and find as closely as I possibly can the mound at Navin. Let's just do this fairly roughly. And I'm going to use the measuring tool to draw a line to the hill of Tara. Okay. And we're talking a distance of 9.5 kilometers, which in miles is 5.9, just under 6 miles. So Ova, Aramon's first wife, and Tia, his second wife, are buried less than 6 miles apart in County Meath. Fascinating stuff, especially when you consider that Tia, according to the legend, is supposed to have come from Egypt, and Ova, of course, came with him from Spain. Fascinating stuff. How much impact does Latin have on Irish? Aaron asks. I'm probably not the one to ask that question, Aaron. How much impact do Latin writings have on medieval Irish myths, or myths written down in medieval times, is a very pertinent question. Maybe something we get to cover in a future episode. Katrina says, ovum, ova, fertility. Yeah, is that, did you say earlier it was connected to egg? I still think the cave is far more exciting than a place of new dwelling. That's me. Yeah, I agree with you. And in fact, as a mound named for a person, I think it's even more exciting again. I wondered, and this is mere speculation, but I wondered in my book, Island of the Setting Sun with Richard Moore, when we initially explored the cosmology and the astronomical alignments of Millmount, I wondered whether Millmount was supposedly named because in the 18th or 19th century, I think it was the 18th century, there was a mill on top of it owned by a man called Delahoyd. But I wondered whether or not the Millmount was an older name from the son of Mill, who was buried under it. Mill Mount, the mound of, Aurigeen, son of Mill, because they were all called sons of Mill. Mill España, the soldier of Spain, the king of Spain, according to the myth. So Don, who was killed, Cech, he was a son of Mill. Eramon, Eber were sons of Mill. Culpa, who was drowned and buried at Inverculpa, was a son of Mill. Aurigeen Mac Mill was a son of Mill. And I just wondered, merely on a speculative notion, whether Millmount might have an older name, not preserved in any documented form, because of course it was a thing spoken of by the peasantry and carried on by word of mouth, if in fact Millmount was not derived from the fact that one of the sons of Mill was buried under it. Speculation on my part, but we've seen how Navin on Uiv, the cave leading into the mound of possibly on Ova, is an example of how we can get excited about mythical origins. Katrina says, I've always thought it is a really bad idea to name a place Newbridge, for example. It is no longer new. Yeah, Newgrange is a 12th century name. It's 800 years old now at this stage. Okay, I think we've caught up, have we? I'll go down to the end. Fascinating story, says Barbara Kling. Glad you enjoyed yourself. Thank you for enjoying your vast knowledge. It's my great pleasure. Mila Chesht, wandering is good. Yeah, exactly. A million questions, or 1,000 questions, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. And I find with my written work, when I ask one question, I actually spur several others. I very rarely offer any definitive answers. Siobhan Blank is watching. Hello, Siobhan. Lovely to have you along. Helen Guinan. I didn't know you were there, Helen. Thank you once again. You're very welcome, Helen. It's lovely to have you along this evening from Ballyauclia, the Ford of the Hurdles. A lovely surprise call from Roscommon cousin Rosemary. Glad I can replay to hear Loch Derg discussion, says Theresa McGuinness. No problem, Theresa. Lovely to have you in anyway. Our own song, Gin of, where something comes from, born from. Aurigin Macmillan, the origin of the arts of song, poetry and music. Early Irish poem, The Song of Aurigin, you as in the first Irish poem. Yeah, and it had been suggested, and it's something I've written about in my books, that Aurigin actually means born of song or birth of song, him being the first Malaysian poet. Fabulous stuff. So that's us for tonight, folks. Don't forget that we're trying to do this every day during the COVID-19 outbreak. We're in lockdown here in Ireland, but luckily we can walk for exercise with our dogs, etc., within 2 kilometers of our house. I had a lovely walk today as far as Millmount, and as I say, there's a video for the patrons from Millmount today. Looking forward to more of this. In fact, I may continue with place names tomorrow. This is I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding this completely gripping. Wednesday is my busy day at work, so I'm unlikely to get much time to prepare for an episode. So I might just continue, if that's okay, with reading more place name myths and perhaps give more time to preparation for future episodes. In the meantime, thanks a million for watching. It's lovely to have you all along. There's a lovely tua, a lovely tribe has grown up around this whole thing. You're all wonderful. You're nice to each other. It's lovely to see all the commentary and all the questions. It's a lovely distraction from the current situation. I know that a lot of people are anxious. A lot of people are isolated. A lot of people have reached out to me through email and private messaging and have said some wonderfully terrific things about this series, which makes me determined to continue it. And as long as this crisis is continuing, I'm going to try and do it every day. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, they'll find a successful treatment, or they'll introduce a vaccine sooner rather than later. And you know, we can start shaking hands again and hugging our friends and relatives. Until that time, we can do it virtually, and we can form nice online communities. So anyway, I invite you to join us every day if you wish. Don't forget to spread the word. Tell your friends and family to drop in on Facebook and on YouTube. You know the addresses, and share them with them. And if you have ideas for episodes, please do let's have them, because there is, I am convinced of it, there is such an enormous body of mythology, folklore and legend in Ireland that one could be studying for an entire lifetime and only scratch the surface of it. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, Ichawa, gach dine goléir fud an dawan. Good night to everyone around the world. Igach och, igach kahar. In every place, in every city, Ichawa, and Bannacht, blessing to you all, and Slán go fóill. Bye for now. We'll see you all, hopefully, tomorrow evening for another session of Mythflix, or as it's officially called, Live Irish Myths. Slán go fóill. And as usual, those of you watching on YouTube get a few extra seconds. Lovely to have you all along this evening. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I found that episode particularly interesting because I love Irish place names and the stories behind them. Hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow evening for part 3. Good night. Ichawa.